here are some of the tools that I use to jack up my vehicle when I'm working on it. I've got a pretty big project coming up, so I figured I'd make this quick video for you guys. So you'll see I have a pair of 6-ton jack stands, a pair of 3-ton jack stands, and I'll explain why I have both. Some wheel chucks in case you're working on your driveway. I know not everybody has a garage, so it's recommended to have these if you're working on a driveway, so you can chuck the back wheels so it doesn't roll. And then a standard 3-ton jack. And I'll explain why this still works for a truck my size. And also, I actually have a spare jack that I didn't show, but you don't really need it. I only use it for really to hold things up if I'm using my jack already for something else, but typically I just use one jack because the vehicles have jack stands. And then one other thing that I wanted to talk about is these pieces of wood that I have. So I have a piece of 2x4, and you'll notice here I have two 2x4s sandwiched together. And the reason why I did this was because the 3-ton jack actually doesn't have enough height to lift the vehicle up if you're lifting it from the frame rails. And so I kind of added these pieces of wood on top of the jack here to give it a little bit more height. And then this actually worked really well for me for a long time. One thing I did was I upgraded to this 4x4, and depending on how high your truck is, you may actually need a 4x6 to give you an extra 1.5 inches, and that will allow your 3-ton jack to work. Without it, you're stuck lifting it from different locations and different areas that may not be ideal. Actually, they'll probably work. I just prefer to lift from the frame, and so these pieces of wood come in handy for that. This little 2x4 actually is for the rear pumpkin, and commonly known as the differential or the rear axle, and that's actually a lift point for the vehicle. And the reason why I use a 2x4 is because you don't want to damage the drain plug, and the drain plug is literally right there, and you'll see I have an indent already in the piece of wood. That's because I've been lifting there. So this will prevent damage from happening to the drain plug. So let me show you how I lift the vehicle up. Alright guys, before you do any work on your vehicle, make sure you're either on level ground, and if you're not, then make sure you definitely pull the e-brake. If you don't, your car's going to roll on you and you're not going to have a fun day. So I just want to put that in there. And if you have to lift up all 4 sides and get your whole vehicle off the ground, probably wouldn't recommend doing that on an incline. So you probably want to use or you probably want to park on the street or something and find some place where it's level so you can get the vehicle up. Otherwise, just work on one side at a time or something. Alright guys, we're at the front of the vehicle here, and first jack point I want to talk about is the actual lower control arm. So the lower control arm is right here. It's where the ball joint and the shock mount to, and you actually can put a jack right under this lower control arm. You can see here it's pretty beefy, and you can lift the vehicle from there and it will go up as well. The lower control arm is actually really low to the vehicle, and you can get the car up pretty high without having to use the wood blocks that I mentioned. I typically don't lift it from there because I just use the frame rails. It's easier to get to, and I don't have a lot of room on the front of my garage here to kind of get a jack under here to kind of lift them from that point. But that's an option. Alright guys, so you can see here I have the jack under the lower control arm here, and let me see if I can position it a little bit better. I can show you that you definitely can lift from here. Don't have a lot of room, but you can see it goes up just fine. You can see I'm already off the ground with very little effort. So this is a good alternative for using your 3-ton jack. And you can lift it right here, and obviously lift it a little higher so you can put your jack stands on the frame rail over there. Another option is if you actually remove the skid plates, you actually can lift the entire front end of the vehicle and have both front tires off the ground. The only problem is, see where this lower control arm mounts through the frame. There's a cross member that goes across to both sides, and you can lift it, basically right about here, and you can get the entire front end off the ground, and then there's actually enough room for you to put 2 jack stands under there to hold the front of the vehicle. And that's what a lot of people actually do. They take all of these bolts off of the skid plate and they'll just lift it from the front. I normally don't need to do that extreme work or normally I'm just pretty lazy. I don't really want to remove the skid plate. One thing I want to note about this cross member is actually that is one of the official jack points for the vehicle. I believe in the service manual. So let me, I'll put a link up. Alright guys, so we're at the cross member here. We're like right under the driver door, and I wanted to show you that you can use a 3-ton jack here as well. Now, one of the reasons why I don't like jacking it right here is because, I don't know, the cross member feels kind of weak to me. And I mean, it works fine. It is one of the official jack points, so I guess, what do I know, right? So I mean, you guys can use it, but normally I like to lift from right here, this frame rail, and because it's about like 1.5 inches higher than the cross member, that's where the extra 4x4 comes in handy. But I'll show you can lift it from here as well, so let me finish that. So you can see the wheel is off the ground now, and what I normally like to do is lift it from there or from the frame rail right here. You can put your 6-ton jack stand under the frame rail. And then you can set it down gently, and then it'll rest on the jack stand, and then you can go on your way. Do an entire rotation, brake job. In my case, I'm going to be swapping out the entire front end for manual hubs and putting a locker in the front differential, so I'll be doing this in the near future. The other official jack point is right back here. So you see that is the rear differential there and the rear axle housing, and you'll notice right there there's a drain plug. I'll show you that guy. So that's what I meant by using the 2x4 before. So you actually can use this spot to lift the entire rear end up, and it will lift both sides up. Obviously if you're trying to do like a lift or change out your springs or what have you, you're going to be basically using the springs to hold the vehicle up. So what you want to do is lift it high enough, and you may need that 2x4 again. Lift it high enough so that you can rest some jack stands on the frame, and then you can let go of the jack. But if you're not doing work like that and you're just like rotating your tires, then what you can do is lift it from there, and then you see these tubes that are attached or that are part of the rear axle. You can put your 3-ton jack stand under there, right, on both sides, and that will hold up the axle and hold up the vehicle at the same time. It's a nice beautiful day out to be shooting a video. Anyways, let me show you the rear. So you can see here, I've got my 2 3-ton jack stands ready, and underneath you can see I got the jack positioned right under the differential pumpkin on the rear axle. Make sure that block of wood is centered with that jack, and then you can just start lifting. Alright, you see that wheel's off the ground, as well as that one. And you want to slide your jack stands under there now. So let me show you. You want to make sure that you put it on a spot that doesn't interfere with anything else when you drop it. There's like sway bar mounts back there, and you know, shock mounts and things. You can just put it right there. It should be good. And then do the same on the other side. Okay, you can just drop it now. Sorry for all the dogs. They're all fighting each other over there. That should be it. So we got the rear up. So let me show you actually what it looks like with all four up and where all the jack stands are going to be. So I just went and lifted from the frame rail with the 4x4. I mean, literally, you can put that anywhere you want, but I think on a flat spot that doesn't curve, because it starts curving right there on the frame upward, but right there is good. You can see, rests nicely. I'll go ahead and do the driver's side now. Same thing. So just put it up there, same frame rail basically, and all right, let me drop the jack. All right, you can see all wheels are off the ground safely. The rear looks like they're off more than the front, but it doesn't really matter. As long as it's off, it's off. Alright guys, hopefully you found the video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. And a lot of these parts are available online or local Harbor Freight. I'll leave some links for you guys so you guys can find them yourselves. And you know, hopefully now this will give you some more confidence on working on your own truck. Thanks again. Have a nice day.